God category
I'm about to
is doing that, but I haven't identified.
Out of here. You're not. You are being entirely evasive with me. I asked
really
you the
not trying
question
to be
the
evasive.
second time. Overtalk me again, and I'm going to kick you. And you see, I'm getting pissed at you because you are deceitfully responding to me. You're not responding to what I'm saying to you. You're ignoring what I'm saying to you. All the while, you're pretending you're responding to me. Are you speaking authoritatively in virtue of I don't know? That's the third or fourth time I've asked the question.
I don't think that I'm saying I don't know is the
okay. You're not answering the
thing
question.
that I'm.
Are you speaking authoritatively in virtue of I don't know?
No, I do not think that I'm doing that.
Okay, good. So no. So you are, what is it in terms of the grand scheme of things ontologically? What ultimately dictates all that is and cannot be so that it would enable you to speak authoritatively? What is that?
I haven't determined the specific thing, but I know that it's on the
does it
God
qualify
category.
as I don't know?
No, that doesn't qualify as I don't know.
You do know
it's
what
like
it
saying,
is. So
I know
you do know what it is?
No, it's like saying I don't.
Hey,
it's like saying
listen to
I
me.
know someone in this room murdered it, but it's not the butler.
Shut up for a second. You hear I'm getting pissed with you? Do you think I'm just losing my cool because I'm an impatient person? No, you're being entirely deceptive and evasive with me. Okay? Now, do you have any self-awareness that you're being evasive in terms of the questions I'm asking you?
I don't think that I'm being evasive.
Goodbye.
I think there's some kind of breakdown.
Lying sack of crap. Goodbye.
Okay, sorry.
Lying sack of crap. You see, folks, how they will just lie with a smiling, cordial face?
I saw that, Darth. Yep.
Okay, and people wonder, is Darth Dawkins getting angry because I'm not getting my own way? Oh, is Darth Dawkins getting angry because he doesn't like what he hears? No, I'm getting pissed because you're ignoring what I'm saying to you.
Yes.
All the while you're trying to snow job me into thinking that you're answering my question when you're not.
He keeps on dodging, Darth, and he's.
I wasn't born yesterday. And you know why they do this? It's because if he answers the question honestly and transparently, guess what? It's game over.
Correct. That's why he had to be evasive, yeah.
So I asked him, are you asserting what is and is not in virtue of I don't know? And he said, no. I said, good. What dictates what is and cannot be? And then he goes, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Nope, you can't. Yeah, it was very irritating, and the way he was being deceptive and dodging, and yeah, absolutely, Darth.
User 95, you better come up and defend what you're saying, or I'm going to block your account.
Yeah, user, you have to request to come up, and
you better come up. Because you're just doing drive-by slander.
Oh, where is he, Darth? Why isn't he coming up?
Okay, I'm going to block his account.
Yo.
Look, when people are just doing drive-by defamation and lies, you're going to get muted or blocked.
Yes, sir.
See, unlike P. Mars, I have no hesitation about blocking people when they just outright lie in the chat. I'm not putting up with it. I don't have to agree with criticism or what they say, but when they just outright lie, like little teenagers, look, go to another stream and do your taunting there. This is not the place.
Yep.
Would it bother you, Darth, if I do satire and make fun of Justin by impersonating him, sort of, or mocking him a little? Would that bother you?
How you doing, guys?
No.
All right, we have here Marty Boy. Marty Boy, are you an atheist?
Hey, I don't know why I was invited here because I'm Christian. I'm just
you wrote
listening.
the comment, sir. The comment that you wrote is maybe he doesn't understand. No, he understood very well what Mark was asking.
No, he was being utterly evasive and deceptive.
Yeah, I think so.
Without a doubt. You see, if somebody is disagreeing with me, but doing their best effort to answer me transparently, I'm not going to get angry because that will make for great debate and conversation. People, I'm talking.
Yeah,
do you hear me the fuck talking?
Stop interrupting Marty Boy, okay?
Yeah, let me get out of here.
Sorry, Darth.
Yeah.
Flynn, come on up and explain how I'm asking nonsensical questions.
I invited them up.
Flynn.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't come up, I'm going to block your dumbass account. Okay, you're.
I invited you.
Yeah, he's blocked now.
Yeah.
You see, these people exhibit the minds of teenagers. Oh, Darth is asking nonsensical questions. No, I'm asking very relevant questions.
Yep.
I don't have anger issues. It's just that there are times when I become outraged and indignant with people that are just blatantly lying to my face and being evasive, and they're wasting my time.
Do you think that's wrong, Darth? If I do, like, I've been doing satire on Justin and kind of
No.
like making the arguments, but I'm doing it in a way to be funny. You know what I'm saying? Is that wrong? Do you think?
No. I'm not against mockery as long as there's an underlying substantiveness. The skeptics and the atheists, they mock, but there's no underlying substance to their mockery.
You mock them back a little bit, you know?
Well, I think that's fine. Jesus mocked the Pharisees. No, they go, well, that's circular reasoning. But you see, they're claiming to speak authoritatively that the biblical proposition of itself, that it speaks authoritatively, is guilty of circular reasoning. So they're making a counter proposition, so that either that statement is arbitrary or they're speaking authoritatively. So if you're speaking authoritatively that the biblical proposition is not authoritative in its own right, because you deem that it's fallacious, then you're going to have to explain to me how you can speak authoritatively in your world. They go, oh, because I have a brain. But your brain doesn't dictate what is and cannot be.
Like, they understand science, and then anything beyond science, it's like they're completely lost.
I have to constantly remind myself this is TikTok. Okay? We're dealing with very low IQ people and people who are of low moral character.
But Darth,
Yeah, I admit it. I get indignant at times because I'm fed up with people coming to the table and pretending that they're going to present themselves honestly and truthfully and thoughtfully, and all I get back are little trickery responses.
yes, sir. And Darth, I don't think it's only TikTok. It's everywhere, right? The atheists behave in this way in every single platform, not only on TikTok.
TikTok
right?
is a very special corner of the universe where low class, low culture, low IQ, low education people thrive and stream. Have you ever seen how low class people are?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, they clearly are displaying mental problems,
Yeah.
and they're actually glorying in their bizarreness.
Yeah. They're shameless about it, Darth. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
You know, I went on to cyber deconstruction about a week ago, and immediately he was abusive and just kept on muting my microphone. Well, why? If your position is so intellectually superior, and I'm just Darth Dumbass, right?
Yeah.
Then why not? Why not show your audience your intellectual prowess and show intellectually why I'm wrong? It's because they're afraid. That's why they have to go into abuse mode.
Absolutely. Yep. That's why.
Yeah. So the bottom line is every time they make a judgment, it's relativistic, and they don't care.
But they don't care about being consistent, Darth, and trying to be, instead of being relativistic, right?
They don't understand in a God independent world, any such assertions will distill down into relativism.
Yes.
Okay? Okay. Welcome, Pubble. What would you like to say?
I was just invited up.
Well, you were making comments in the chat then.
Were you making?
No, I wasn't.
Oh,
Then you wouldn't have been invited up then.
I made one comment a little bit ago asking if you made a new account or if you had unblocked me, but it seems
yeah,
like
that
it's the
was
second account.
that was. I think that's why I brought you up because of that old comment. Yeah.
Did I block you on another account?
Yeah, it was after I had called you out for
Bye. Welcome to my
blaming.
block list.
Yeah.
Thank you
Welcome
for
to his
joining me.
brothel. Yeah.
Bye. See you later. Bye-bye.
I like watching your lives.
Bye. Yeah, not anymore you don't. Bye-bye.
He made a comment right a while back saying something like that, so I brought him up. Yeah.
Yeah, you see how stupid they are. Well, you blocked my other account. Yeah, well, guess what? Now I'm going to block this one.
Yeah.
Stone, come up and explain how I'm gaslighting. Come on up. And if you don't come up and defend your accusation, I'm going to block your account.
I just invited him up, Darth. Yep.
Yeah, come on up, Stone.
Stone, come up. I invited you up. Come on up.
Occasionally, we misunderstand that a believer will make a comment about something in the text. So you better come up, Stone. Yeah, you got 15 seconds to come up, Stone, and we're going to block your account.
Yeah, he's not coming up.
I don't take kindly to people who are lying about me. Okay, bye, Stone.
Bye, Stone.
Yeah, we just lit the fire to the gaslight. Boom.
Yep.
I've been doing this for 14 years. This is why I tend to get indignant because I'm just so fed up with people being deceitful with me. People can disagree with me. We can debate for hours.
Yep.
I can think that somebody's entirely wrong. But the moment you cross the line and you start cheating and you start being evasive and deceptive with me, I'm going to get pissed.
And rightly so, Darth. And rightly so. I mean,
this is the same reason why the federal government gets upset when people counterfeit money. It's cheating.
Exactly, Darth. So it makes so much sense when they behave in that way. They have to be reprimanded for that behavior.
Yeah.
Like that's understandable, Darth. Absolutely.
This is why I have such few people that are willing to come up here. Because if they have to speak transparently, they're going to be exposed. Welcome, Ken. What would you like to say?
Ken, are you an atheist?
We'll let Ken have a few seconds, set up his microphone. Are you there, Ken?
No, I'm not atheist.
What are you?
Jesus Christ, my Savior.
Okay, what would you like to say, Ken?
Jesus Christ is my Savior.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Thank you for coming.
Okay, people are.
What's the frequency, Kenneth?
What's wrong with people today, Darth? What's wrong with the atheists today? TikTok is not sending their best.
Always keep this in mind among a number of things. 99.9% of the time when you have an atheist coming to the table to represent themselves, they will almost always be smuggling in their God denialism, but verbally and semantically representing it as being simply a state of being unconvinced.
Yes. Yeah.
I'd use the word incredulity, but there are people who just don't know that word.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
I like that word, incredulous.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Dart, this is a very basic term, right? Like everyone knows that. You're saying Dart that
No, I think a lot of times we use words, big words. I think we should always be working on
okay, yeah.
Talking like
Yeah.
in very like I don't know, basic colloquial.
Yeah, they're always representing their position and their responses as though they're the ones that have some kind of default and neutral position that requires no defense other than the self-testimony of I'm unconvinced. okay, and that they want to represent theism as being a novel introduction or a novel overlay to an already default neutral position. Okay. So the way that so let me give you an example. Suppose somebody's on trial for murder. The way the prosecution and the defense are going to frame the so-called evidence will make a world of difference as to whether or not the jury is going to either convict or pronounce not guilty. Okay?
Sure.
And so the way we frame our position matters very greatly. We are not illegitimately framing our position or the dialectic, but the atheists are constantly illegitimately and inaccurately framing the dialectic in that they're operating from a default neutral position, and that our position is a novel position that unilaterally has the responsibility of defending. That's always when you turn and question them, they will shapeshift from identifying as an atheist, they will then shapeshift to Captain Neutral. I'm undecided.
Darth, you've been doing this for 15 years. Have you ever had an atheist say, "My dog ate my argument for atheism"?
Well, things that came a lot close to it. Came close to it. The dog ate my homework. Look, I asked Lawrence Krauss and P.Z. Myers, how is it that God doesn't exist? And immediately these extremely vocal and arrogant, high recognition public figures, all of a sudden they shapeshift into agnostics, when for years they're identifying as atheists.
Out Darth when Lawrence Krauss says, "I don't know," like he kept on identifying himself as an atheist before that conversation he had with him.
To show you what a fool he is.
Exactly.
Absolute fool.
All right, Darth.
It doesn't mean he's not smart in terms of physics, but when it comes to metaphysics, he's a fool. Welcome, Fatality. What would you like to say?
I was talking to you yesterday, Darth. I don't know if you remember me.
Yeah, I remember the accent. Yeah.
I would like.
Are you an atheist?
Yes, I am, but I'm.
He's an atheist, Darth. Okay.
I was talking to you yesterday about the debate I was watching on YouTube with you and Dr. Garfield.
Yeah, Jay Garfield. Yep.
And it got down to the facts of, like, it rains because of clouds and then blah 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 and so on. And then you said there has to be a fundamental fact, like a, you know, a fact to ground all facts. But then you were sort of cut off and badly treated. I'd like to know where you'd have went with that argument.
What I was going to hit him with is, how does he establish what it is identifiably that actualizes the regularity of nature?
And he kept saying that there isn't anything.
Well, then to say that, then he destroys his ability to speak intelligibly, because if there's no underlying regularity of nature, then everything is chaos. Then you couldn't speak intelligibly.
Yeah, it was just interesting how that whole debate went.
Yeah, which goes to show you, when you understand the biblical worldview, especially in terms from a metaphysical perspective, that you can blindside even people who are professional atheists. And these are not gotcha questions. These are questions that are specific to the issue, is because it doesn't matter how many PhDs that they have. They're taking out a position that they're in a God-independent world that cannot be justified.
And I'm sort of held liable with that as well. And I'm struggling with that because of your argument. But every day is a learning day, I suppose.
Well, unbelief is a performative contradiction.
Yeah, I understand. It's kind of like, you know, the way if somebody presented you with something, there's nothing that would shake your faith, and it's kind of like that. I think for some atheists, not all, but for some, and I'd include myself in that it's just really difficult to get your head out of that way of thinking and accept that there is, you know.
Well, they're not they're not accustomed to thinking about it from a different metaphysical perspective.
You see, and that's my problem, is that I'm not either.
Okay,
I just can't get my head around a man with a beard.
There's no neutrality. There's no neutrality. And God is the fundamental single causal first principle for everything, including affirmation and denial.
And what is the best evidence for that?
What is the evidence? Everything is. The evidence of it would be God's revelatory actions of self-disclosure through creation, in that everything in the world that comes into contact with our self-consciousness, including our self-consciousness, is emblematic and indicative of ultimate design and intentionality. And the only alternative to deny that, you won't be able to deny that, because in a world that is not emblematic of ultimate design and intentionality by the mind and purpose and plan of God, you won't have a single causal first principle to ground any truth statement or identity statement. So therefore, God would have to you would have to acknowledge that God is and that he reveals himself, even to begin to affirm and deny anything, to have the capacity to affirm and deny things. If you don't accept that, then you're going to have to explain in your God-independent world what your foundation is for that world, and how does it actualize the ability to affirm and deny things.
It's true. It makes you feel a bit stupid, when you can't defend it.
Okay, so Fatality, you're an atheist, right?
Well, I don't like to label myself anything, but
He's an atheist, Darth. Yeah,
I'm definitely not an agnostic. I discovered that. Darth educated me on that.
You take it that you are a cognitive, self-conscious being. Now,
I believe in naturalism.
Either your consciousness is indicative and emblematic of ultimate intentionality, the mind of God, and that God purposed that it be emblematic of his mind as the ultimate precondition, or not. So therefore,
there's only two options.
What's that?
There's only two options.
That's right. Now, in the case that it is emblematic, then what we have is ultimate intentionality, and rationality begets instances of rationality. So God makes us to be like himself. Now, if one rejects that, then one will be laying out the position that their rationality is begotten out of states that are characteristically not rational. So how do states of affairs that are not characteristically the rational beget states of affairs that are the rational?
I mean, I would always come back to naturalism, but
naturalism is nothing, because so let me explain something to you. In the two worldviews, we have the God-dependent worldview, and then you have the God-independent worldview in naturalism, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay? So in the God world, God is the single causal first principle who is intentional. His mind ontologically imposes and actualizes whatever individual states of unity and diversity there are and order according to his plan. When that is rejected, and you speak of naturalism at any scale, whether you say naturalism only consists of one thing or many things, you're going to have to give an account for what actualizes whatever states of unity that are in the world that are real. So what is the something else that's not God that actualizes whatever states of unity there are in the world, from the smallest to the grandest scale? What actualizes the unity in the world?
Well, I would normally have answered that with my own sensory perception,
No, then you would be God. We're talking about what ontologically actualizes it. We're not talking about what faculties allow you to recognize unity in the world. We're talking about what ontologically actualizes unity and diversity in the world.
But how do we know there is that without a mind?
Okay, all right. Let me give you an example. Okay, imagine Clark Kent and Superman. They're the same person, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and Superman can move so fast, he can be Superman in one corner of the room and Clark Kent in the other, and change his clothes and have you think that there's two different people in the world, but he's the one and the same thing. Okay, so that's just a silly illustration. So when you say the cat is on the mat, you're framing that the cat is an identity state, and it's to be distinguished and is discrete from the mat. The cat is not the mat. The mat is not the cat. Okay, so you have diversity there. Okay, but the cat represents a state of unity. It's an identity state. Now, if there is unity and diversity in the world from the smallest to the grandest scale, without which you couldn't speak intelligibly, either you're going to accept that the unity and diversity that undergirds everything for intelligibility is the product of a God revealing and God dependent world, or a God independent world. If you reject, for whatever line of reasoning, that it is the mind of the self-revealing God who actualizes the unity in the world, if you dismiss that, then you're going to be operating a principle that something else actualizes the unity and diversity. So what is the something else?
Well, could that be another religion?
No, don't ask me a question. The question is...
I don't know. I don't have an answer.
Okay, good. Then there is nothing within the system that identifiably actualizes the unity in the world. So there's no world to speak of because you have nothing that imposes the unity that you think is real.
Yeah, this is the problem I'm facing. It's absurd in a way.
Yeah, the unity that a person believes in and invokes either directly, indirectly, explicitly, or implicitly, they're holding to the unity as real, actualized by something that is unidentified and not accounted for. Well, they reject that God is identified and accounted for and the actualizer of the unity and diversity of the world. So they're in naturalism. Naturalism is a performative contradiction in that it has a standard of belief that it uses to dismiss the realness of the unity and diversity of the world due to the self-revealing God. Yet they're violating that criterion when they adopt that naturalism can be spoken of intelligibly in terms of unity and diversity. There's nothing within the system that is identifiable that actualizes the unity in the world. So naturalism not only is not rationally defensible, it's not even coherent at any scale because there's nothing within the system that actualizes the unity in the world.
But could it be another religion?
No, there's nothing there. There's nothing to speak of. Let me explain it to you. In the God-dependent world, all right, the mind, the purpose of the self-revealing God of Christian theism existed all by himself. He then brings the world into existence by his power, and he sustains the world by the power of his will every given moment. So for whatever states of identity exist, okay, whatever it is, an electron, a quark, a planet, a star, whatever it is the mind of God, the self-revealing God. I'm not just saying positing God as starting axiom. The self-revealing God is the single causal first principle that is actualizing that there are any identity states or states of unity among the diversity of other identity states or states of unity. When that is rejected, then instantaneously the interlocutor is going to be operating that something else is actualizing the unity and diversity that the naturalistic world is comprised of. Okay, what actualizes or makes real the unity and diversity?
And what if I was to say Buddhism?
No, Buddhism is an atheistic worldview. It does not have an ultimate identifiable causal first principle that
I don't know much about Buddhism now. I just said that just to be the devil's advocate.
Buddhism has a notion of the divine, but it's not personal. But it's not self-revealing either.
And Darth, what's amazing is that when he first came here, Fatality self-identified as an atheist, and now he's shifting gears because
I'm not shifting gears.
Look, you can believe. Okay, so to believe in the divine is to believe in something that is in and of itself self-contained, non-derivative, and non-dependent. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, for much of the world, the divine would refer to God, but not so in all religions. So, for example, in Buddhism, the divine would be some fundamental principle that is itself self-contained, but it's not personal. It's not an agent. Okay? So the point is this. If I said to you, the Jabloo is manifestly kerflunkled during the disgruntification, would you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
To speak of a naturalistic world is to do the same thing, because whether you talk of your naturalistic world of only consisting of one electron or many electrons or many atoms, okay, makes no difference. You're still going to be invoking an unimaginable plethora, right, of identity states. Okay. What makes those identity states real? Are they real? If they're real, what makes them real?
Exactly.
And their answer is, there's something that makes it real. I just don't know what it is.
And I'm guilty of that. Just for confirmation.
Understand, but then what you're saying is how shall I put this to you? You are violating your criterion of belief that you use to dismiss God, and that therefore the world is indicative and emblematic and indicative of God and dependent and derivative of God, right? But then you're saying this is a God-independent world. Good. How is that? And you say, well, it's a God-independent world because I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so in order to talk about the world, what unifies all the members of the set that we call the world? You see, in the Christian theism, it is the mind, the purpose, and the plan of the self-revealing God through creation, through the prophets, ultimately in Jesus Christ, codified in his inspired word, the Bible. The self-revealing God shows that his mind ontologically actualizes all states of unity or identity states. They're only real because they're emblematic and they depend upon God. If you're going to say that there are real states of affairs, okay, based upon what? What if I told you that Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to take you out for lunch today? Right?
Yeah.
You would say, no, that's not going to happen. And why not? Because Obi-Wan's not real. But what if I said, but he is real? And you say, how is he real? I said, because I believe he's real. My mind tells me he's real. And you say, good. What actualizes that Obi-Wan Kenobi is real rather than a mere abstract fictional character? And I say, well, he's real, but I don't know why he's real. So the unbeliever is saying that the world is real at any scale, and it's real without God. Okay, how is it real without God? You go, well, it's real without God because of I don't know.
But let me put God in Obi-Wan.
Here's the problem. One more thing before I forget. Their position stated as such, which they state all the time, those who are not evasive, their position is actually worse than the position that they reject, because at least we're identifying and giving a defense of the self-revealing God. You're saying the world exists in virtue of something else, which is I don't know, for which you give no identification and defense over. So that position is actually worse than the position they claim to reject, and that their position of naturalism or a God-independent world is somehow intellectually superior to the putative self-revealing God. But it turns out that position is even worse than the position that they reject from their perspective.
I do think atheism is an absurd worldview, but I have no other word.
There you go.
But hold on.
It's either you're going to have to acknowledge that the world can
just let me explain that. I can't say I'm an agnostic because that doesn't make sense.
There is no neutrality.
Yes.
So you believe in God then?
Well. This is the trouble I'm having, Egyptian. Is that I still don't.
You cannot defend that there is neutrality toward God. It is a myth. It's a widespread myth. Claiming you don't know is just verbal camouflage for denying God without defending the denial of God.
So I must be an atheist then, but I just still can't help but think that is still absurd.
Then you can't talk about an I and think. What ontologically grounds the unity of the I that you invoke?
There you go. Yeah, what is it? What is it, fatality?
See, when I talk about I is an identity state, okay? My I-ness, my state of unity, is the product of God actualizing identity states of which I am one among many.
For fatality, if you can't believe in atheism, you said it's absurd.
You see, the atheist position, whenever they start talking, if they say the sky is blue or electrons orbit the nucleus of an atom, whatever, all of these things are violating their own criterion of belief, but they don't want to man up and recognize it.
But the problem is, as well, as if I say I'm an atheist and I look up, the sky is blue to me, regardless. So what is that?
So when I say the sky is blue and you say the sky is blue, it seems like we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But this is simply not the case because there's background information that we are left unstated. It's called an enthymeme. It's an unstated premise. So when I say the sky is blue, the sky is blue because we're in God's world, a God world that he created and God sustained. Therefore, and that's because the sky is blue because it's according to his plan. You say the sky is blue in virtue of a God independent world. So we're not saying the same thing, are we?
We're coming to the same conclusion, but we're not saying the same
coming to
thing.
the same. You're not understanding. Is because facts have to be contextualized, otherwise they're not facts.
Yeah, but
when he says
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question. When you talk about skyness and blueness, underlying those putative realities is the idea that there is a uniformity of nature or a regularity of nature that provides for blueness. That blueness remains the same thing over time. Okay? And skyness remains the same thing over time. And I'm not talking about token or language shifts, right? So what is it that actualizes object permanence over time?
see, I would still come back to naturalism, but
There's no naturalism to speak of. Naturalism is a term of unity, correct?
yeah,
Is the unity concretely imposed on a grand scale, or is the unity simply a mental abstraction attempting to conceptually unify all the members of the set?
yeah, I think it's mind dependent.
Okay, you're not understanding. Okay, the unity that you refer to as naturalism is not actualized by your mind. The unity is conceptualized.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
You understand the difference between conceptualization?
Yeah, I see what you mean now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the fact. Let me ask you this: suppose it's the case that all the members of the set are completely unrelated in every respect, but somebody comes along because of their own stupidity or false beliefs, and they think that there are various levels of unity among the members of the set. Does that mean, therefore, because they have faulty reasoning, that there's actual unity among the members? No. If there's real unity, okay, it's going to have to be actualized. Naturalism is the unification of an innumerable number of identity states. Each identity state is a sub-unit of unity. Why is any identity state a unified state? What actualizes that?
I don't know.
Well,
Could I think?
then therefore, you don't have any basis to say that there's identity states and states of unity in a God-independent world.
Yeah.
It would be, listen, it would be just like if you told a judge that there was an invisible man who came in and killed your roommate when they're implicating you, and that the invisible man jumped out the window. You see, when you adopt naturalism, naturalists are violating the very criterion of belief that they use to reject the self-revealing God-dependent world. They're instantly violating it. I have been making this point now for over 3 years. I haven't had any atheist that I've confronted this with that have been able to give me a cogent answer how they're not violating their own criterion of belief.
I'm not going to be able to give you that either.
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
That's because in spite of our persistent disagreement, we're attempting to be transparent, and that's why I'm not getting irritated with you. We just disagree, but you're not being deceptive.
No.
It's Egyptian. You can comment on this. He and I, Fatality and I, do not agree, but he's trying really hard to be intellectually honest. This is why I'm not the least bit indignant with you. I can respect you for your persistent disagreement, even though I don't agree with you.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I respect you because you're doing your hardest to try to be transparent and non-deceptive and evasive.
And I really am trying. I was at a young age exposed to atheism via a member of my family. Started showing me videos on Don Dannett, Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, Richard Dawkins, and it's sort of ingrained in my brain. But it's trying to undo that.
Daniel Dennett and Hitchens are no longer atheists.
They're dead.
Theists now, right, Darth?
Exactly, that's it.
So what I'm trying to say to you is this. Graham Oppie, one of the smartest atheists.
I watched that debate. I see books on my shelf. It was unbelievable.
Graham Oppie tried to invoke naturalism. Like, how is naturalism even intelligible?
He's the best atheist philosopher, right?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about semantically intelligible. I'm questioning the metaphysical intelligibility. From whence does the actualization of unity come at any scale?
I know.
So, Darth, the best atheist philosopher couldn't give you a cogent answer.
But I listen to you, Darth, most days, and I'm just waiting for that one thing to click, to make me go, now I get it, sort of thing,
Here, he gave it to you.
So let me explain.
Yeah. It's just trying to understand that Egyptian,
Either there's two possible worlds. The best way to get through to you is to show you the antithesis. Okay. So we're either in a God-revealing, God-dependent world or not. Okay?
I understand. I just have certain issues.
In the God revealing, meaning God reveals himself through creation, and it therefore being a God-dependent world, in God we have the concrete universal. God is a concrete entity who is actualizing whatever states of unity. His mind is unifying it. The difference between God's mind and our mind is that the mind of God is ontologically actualizing the actual state of unity. It's not a mere conceptualizing of unity. Okay, suppose I create a set or a state of unity of all one-legged men who are bald, who are missing their left pinky finger. I've just created a conceptual set there.
Yeah.
Or it could be different. I could be a one-legged man and a dog. I just put them in the set, and I call that their kerflunkle. All right?
Yeah.
The unity there is only conceptual. It's not ontological.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, on the other hand, if you say the unity is more than conceptual, that it's rooted in ontology, let's say like females versus males, dogs versus cats, okay, that there's something within the uniformity of nature that ultimately, derivatively, or causally imposes dogness, whereas rocks don't have the characteristic of dogness. So there's something ontologically within the chain of events that is actualizing dogness and why dogs are not rocks.
It's just the law of identity, but you're saying what actually?
No, the law of identity doesn't stand in causal relations.
Oh.
The law of identity is just something is what it is, okay, in a time index. What I'm saying to you is this. Either the states of unity and identity foundationally are causally actualized, or they're not causally actualized, and therefore you don't have real unity. Okay?
Yeah, and what is causally actualizing that in my worldview? I don't know.
Well, then you have no basis to say that there's unity. That's the result of being causally actualized. Which is kind of redundant to say that.
It's a problem. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, well, that's why unbelief and naturalism are incoherent upon a metaphysical walkthrough. They're semantically coherent. Yeah, you're talking about a God-independent world. I understand this concept. But the point is this: in a world without God, you don't have anything that's identifiable and defensible that is causally imposing whatever states of unity that are there. You just take it for granted that it's real God independently.
Why do you fear a world without God, Darth?
What's that? I don't fear a world without God. Why would you say such a stupid thing?
Because you keep bullying and badgering people into your point of view.
I'm not bullying people. What I'm doing is I'm being very aggressive and assertive to show them the utter bankruptcy of unbelief.
I have seen your other lives. You are a complete bully.
No, sir. Don't confuse being a bully with being aggressively assertive, showing them.
And why is it every time
you think that unbelief? Hold on a second.
Listen,
you're just doing personal attacks right now. Let me ask you this question: can you rationally support unbelief?
I don't have to. I didn't
ask you if you had to. I said, can you? See, right then and there, you could. I asked you once. I'm talking right now. I'm talking right now.
I will put you over my knee, young man.
Okay, I'm going to mute your microphone.
I muted
it. Your microphone is now muted. You see, right out of the gate, okay, why are you bullying me by dodging my question?
Because I can't answer your stupid
question. Bye, asshole. Bye.
I can't answer your question.
See, Darth? See how they are, Darth? Yeah.
You see, I asked him a direct question, and immediately I get complete evasion.
Yep. That's how. Yeah.
That's pride. That's too much pride.
You see, this is what they all do with rare exceptions. You're one of the rare exceptions that is not ignoring my questions.
Well, look, we've been talking for 20 minutes now and we don't agree, but it's been a...
You're still here. I haven't kicked you off.
You have not bullied me once this whole entire time.
No, because you're trying to transparently answer the questions.
You're being cooperative, and you're being straight. Yeah, you're answering the question.
People who are absolutely deceptive and evasive with me and cheat in the interaction, I'm going to get pissed and get indignant. That guy wants to call that bullying. So be it.
And by the way, even if you were bullying me, I'm a big boy, so what?
Yeah.
That's life, isn't it?
Look, we still don't agree, but you're trying your best to be honest.
I really am.
Last guy was not.
I'm trying my best to find out the truth. That's all I care about. And in my world,
listen to me.
It's made redundant.
Listen to me. Truth would be utterly meaningless in a world without the self-revealing God. Mm-hmm. Okay? There would be no truth.
It's definitely. I'm going to come back. I've got lots more to talk. I'd like to talk to you about evolution sometime if you'd like.
Sure.
If that's okay. But
that's fine.
That's okay. I'll come back. Thanks for your time, Doc.
Yeah. You see, folks, he didn't get kicked out. He wasn't agreeing. But what the thing is, he has got a pair of balls, and his parents civilized him. Okay? It's that simple. Parents civilized him.
We've never seen this is a rarity when we find
something. It is a rarity. Like yeah, it is a rarity. So this is what they do when it comes to this is why they hate biblical presuppositionalism.
Yep.
No? It's because they dodge, and they misrepresent. It's that simple.
Exactly, Darth. Someone, Darth, by the
way.
Can
I elaborate how naturalism violates my worldview? Well, it's very simple. My worldview consists of the self-revealing God-dependent world, the God of Christian theism. Naturalism says that the world is God independent, so they're mutually contradictory.
Someone Darth called Stephen Dodger is saying, "Prove your claim."
Okay, well, why don't you come up, Stephen? Come on up. I'll talk with
I
you.
invited them up. Yeah, I invited them up. Come on up, Stephen. Yeah, we'll prove it.
Come on up, Stephen. I'll be glad to talk with you about it.
He's saying, "Oh, he just wrote another comment. He's saying there is no proof. The Bible is not proof."
Okay, good. Come on up. We'll talk about it, Stephen. Let's see if you have a pair of balls instead of you're just a girly man like most of the atheists who just sit there do drive-by trolling in the text chat. Come on up, Stephen.
Exactly.
Come on, you've been invited. What are you afraid of?
What are you afraid of, Stephen? Come on up.
Oh, look at that. He's not coming up. Green Acres is the place for me. Buck, 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 buck.
Oh, man. Why are they so afraid?
What, isn't it obvious?
It is obvious, yeah.
Yeah. This
That was a stupid question.
This is why I had no trepidation whatsoever going up a Graham Oppie. Not that I'm smarter than he is, not that I know more about philosophy than he does, because obviously he's quite good on philosophy. But knowing that he's denying what God has revealed, he simply cannot defend his position. How do you account for unity in the world? Okay, to talk about naturalism is to say that there's a world of at least some levels of unity that are actualized rather than they're imaginary. Okay?
Yep.
Okay? So when I asked Graham Oppie, I didn't ask him, why do you believe there's unity in the world? I said, what actualizes it? Okay? Right? What actualizes it? And he had no answer, nor could he have an answer.
Yeah. He couldn't answer you, Darth.
No. Nor could anybody.
But what I appreciate from Graham Oppie is he didn't shapeshift like Lawrence Krauss and play the incredulity.
No, but he did
card,
want to
right?
get rid of me after that as quickly as possible.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did want to continue the conversation because I wasn't one of his doting students.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Darth, do you think like he's heard of this argument before you presented it, or do you think
I think he might be vaguely acquainted with it, but not something that interests him. If it doesn't interest him, they're just dismissive of it.
Yeah. Because he might have not been prepared, right? Like, oh, it's the first time he heard this argument. It's like, oh, it's a new argument. You know, he might have.
Well, they don't take it seriously because, well, first of all, he's an analytic philosopher.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of analytic philosophers tend to ignore this stuff. But the point is, there's no identifiable, defensible, naturalistic world to speak of, because in order to speak of it as real, even in a conceptual sense, good. From whence comes the unity that you speak of?
Exactly.
Now, if I ask you that question, you're going to say, the self-revealing God of Christian theism.
Yep.
Right? And their answer is, from whence comes the unity at different scales in a world of naturalism is, I see books on my shelf.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So naturalism is absurd, not in terms of semantically, but metaphysically it's absurd because there's nothing that actualizes ontologically the unity at any scale in the world.
Correct.
The unity at different scales in the world, from an electron to the cosmos, is just simply taken for granted.
And now, Darth, someone like Tantica will take it and say there's nothing that actualizes reliable cognitive faculties or properly functioning under naturalism, right? So he'd say, like, with naturalism, there is nothing that actualizes properly functioning, reliable cognitive faculties.
Well, what they'll do, the answer that they'll give or they'll rely on, is that our cognitive faculties are the byproduct of evolution. But if evolution was true, you wouldn't, whatever your faculties are would be determined by antecedent conditions.
Exactly.
Because you would be invoking a kind of a materialism.
Yeah, and so they wouldn't like invoke free will, right? Or they would invoke like some form of determinism.
Yeah, so remember people talk about determinism versus indeterminacy. Well, I don't think that's quite an accurate representation of ultimate. I think what we should say is either we have the ultimate intentionality of the mind of God versus not the intentionality of the mind of God.
Yeah.
So I don't think that God either represents determinacy or indeterminacy.
But Darth, even if they appeal to evolution, well, Plantinga answers us and actually quotes Darwin, right? Darwin's doubt, where actually, if we appeal to evolution, it's going to be very, very bad for your cognitive.
Was that in where the conflict lies?
Yeah, that's found in where the conflict lies. It's found also in many of his other books, but you'll find it also in Where the Conflict Lies, where he talks about that. Where, like he would say, like even if they appeal to evolution, actually that makes it really bad. Big.
The thing that the unbelievers simply don't understand.
How can we trust?
What the unbelievers don't understand is the very adoption of the contrary worldview is an instantaneous violation of their criterion of belief that they use to dismiss the God-dependent world.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So when they're speaking out of, from, and in defense of the God-independent world, okay, so you're going to be invoking various classes and categories of identity and unity states. Okay. What actualizes that fundamentally?
Exactly. Nothing. Under their worldview.
Yeah. And you can't just sit there and say your sense perception, because this is a throwaway answer when they don't know what to say. Your mind does not ontologically actualize those states. Okay?
Yep.
I'm asking you what ontologically imposes that. I'm not asking you by what means you appropriate this external state of affairs. I'm asking, what is it that foundationally actualizes it?
Exactly, Lord.
You know, and I the same thing with Lawrence Krauss. I busted him. He wants to sit there and brag like a big blowhard that we don't need God. We can explain everything through the laws of nature. This is what he said. He can explain everything through laws of nature. But when I asked him to explain foundationally what dictates all that is and cannot be, he goes, I don't know. I mean, what a colossal failure.
Exactly, Lord. It is a colossal failure.
Yeah, it's a big failure.
Darth,
I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I'm going to say it because I think it's very obvious. The atheists, for the most part, they are afraid unless they can get me in a situation where they can railroad me and dogpile me.
Yep.
Okay? But if it's going to be any mono, like that last guy right there, he wasn't stupid. He was very thoughtful. He was asking very good questions, and he wasn't lapping up everything I was saying, right? But he just realized the bankruptcy of his position when transparently responding to my legitimate question. I am not asking illegitimate questions.
Yeah, and Darth, there's someone in the comment section. I invited them up. He was saying, "I used to be atheist. I'm not anymore. But how can we know Christianity is the one true way to God?" I invited them up, Darth.
It's very simple. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
The way that you can know it, I'm going to give it to you in a nutshell. Okay. So the propositional content of the Bible that reveals God's attribute set, God reveals that attribute set, which is the fundamental ground of all being, it is exclusive and indispensable to the God of the Bible. In other words, no other worldview can have that composite attribute set. And that attribute set is itself compositely or in the aggregate indispensable for grounding all truth, reason, and intelligibility. If that is not accepted for whatever rationale, then you're making a worldview counterclaim. But no such worldview can be identified and grounded So therefore, the opposition is utterly in virtue of gobbledygook. There is no rational opposition to the self-revealing God. Okay? I think we as Christians, and myself included, we need to stop just saying, well, God is the necessary precondition, although that's true. We need to be more clear that we're not talking about God as a axiom, the fundamental axiom of existence. We're talking about that we're invoking God because God himself has taken the initiative to reveal himself in creation and through human history. And it makes no difference that they laugh at this. Okay? So when they reject that God is the self-revealing causal first principle, then what is their self-revealing causal first principle? Because if you don't have a self-revealing causal first principle, then there is no world to speak of that you can defend. That's why this is why they're not coming up on stage. They are literally afraid.
Yeah. So,
This is
well,
why
we have
you
here
just get such low caliber people on stage. Welcome, Jen. What would you like to say?
No, I would like to hear, what do you think God is?
God is an eternal mind who spoke the world into existence, and he sustains that world according to the power of his will and according to his plan.
Now, is there any reason to your statement, or do you just believe that because someone told you?
No, I believe that because God has revealed himself through creation, and in addition to the revelation in creation that the world is emblematic of ultimate design and intentionality, and the impossibility, the negation of that is impossible to rationally defend. And number two, that he's revealed himself through the prophets, ultimately in Jesus Christ, such that the propositional attribute set of the God of the Bible is such that it is exclusive and indispensable for grounding all truth and reason and intelligibility. And any attempt to rationally deny that will internally implode and collapse, because there will not be a single causal first principle to ground any truth.
Can you give an example of why atheism is unreasonable?
Because it's an internal self-contradiction that the atheists are
can you give an example,
Yeah, because, okay, so for example, if God is an identity statement, okay, do you understand that?
What will you say, identity what?
If I said to you, there's an apple on the counter, that's an identity statement. You understand?
What is an identity
if I said to you,
statement?
Donald Trump is the president of the United States, that's an identity statement.
Okay, but what's the difference between a statement and an identity statement?
Because if I said to you, I'm hungry because I haven't eaten lunch, there are some identity statements in there, but it's much broader than a mere identity statement.
Do you mean that it's a subjective
An identity statement is saying the tree blows in the wind. So I'm identifying a unified state of the tree and another unified state called the wind.
Okay, sure.
Unified is if it possesses actuality, but it's also distinguished and discrete from other identity states. The cat is not the dog.
Yeah, but that's like any statement ever.
Okay, so are we clear now what an identity state is?
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
Okay, so God is an identity state. If somebody is going to negate God as an identity statement, and God is a statement of unqualified universal declaration, right, that God is the creator, right, then to deny God is to make an unqualified universal negation. Well, in order to do so, you're going to have to instantiate an identity statement that functions as the negation or negator for the identity.
So you mean,
God.
if you're going to argue that there's no God, you're going to have to argue for an exception?
No, sir, you're not focusing. This is the number one problem I have with people like you.
Look,
You're not focusing. Okay, you want to overtalk me? Overtalk me again and see what happens. Okay? Now, I'll ask you again. In order to negate something, you have to present a proposition that functions as the negator. Okay? So if I say to you, the dog is not in the backyard, okay? If somebody comes along and says, the dog is in the backyard, that identity state functions as the negator for the statement, the dog is not in the backyard. You understand so far? Unmute your microphone.
Mute your microphone, Jen.
Okay. In logic, how do you falsify A?
Now, understand that when you make a statement, you neglect
Okay.
the
Hey,
opposite
dude,
statement.
dodge one more time and I'm kicking you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay.
I understand your
How do you
argument.
falsify
okay?
proposition A?
Yeah, okay, so tell me if I'm wrong, okay?
Goodbye.
What? Bro.
Yeah, bye, dumbass.
Yeah, he's a. Yeah, I saw that. Yep. He was trying to dodge Darth. He wasn't answering the questions.
Yeah, and how often does that happen? 98 to 99% of the time I'm dealing with people.
Exactly.
Because they don't want to answer my legitimate questions. It would be one thing if I were asking illegitimate questions.
Yep. Exactly, Darth.
Come on up, average guy. Support your claim. Okay, and by the way, when you talk about testable, verifiable evidence, you're making a category error. So come on up.
Darth, he's invited to come up.
Average, you better come up because you're making a grandiose statement saying God can't be proved. I want you to prove to me that God can't be proved, and I want you to explain why God must be testable and verifiable evidence and how that's not a category error.
Darth, this guy called
there are
Jen.
a number of things that you cannot test. Okay.
Darth, this guy Jen, who you just removed, is raising his hand again.
We'll give him another chance. Hey, average guy. Okay, you're not coming up? Good, you're muted.
Why are they so? They're so cowardless, Darth. They never want to come up.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I didn't. I tried to answer your question. I just wanted to know if I understood
you were
your question
dodging
first,
it.
okay?
You were dodging.
You were dodging. Yeah.
You were dodging. So let's not dodge.
Okay, yes, I agree. Is that not dodging?
Okay, so how do you falsify proposition A?
You have to make another proposition.
What proposition?
Look, I'm a theist too, okay?
Hey, sir, you're not answering my question. You're dodging again.
No, I'm going to answer it. I'm just saying.
Bye.
Oh my God.
Yeah, goodbye. Yeah.
And then you're just going to contradict me again that you're not dodging? You negate proposition A by instantiating proposition not A. You instantiate proposition negative A. Okay? So in order to falsify God, you have to present an identity state that functions as the negator for the identity statement of God. Well, atheists try to do that by an invocation of naturalism, but naturalism cannot be grounded. Okay? How do you ground that naturalism as a state of a unity and a subset of states of unity? What actualizes whatever real states of unity there are that represents collectively naturalism? If naturalism is a set of a multiplicity or innumerable number of identity states or states of unity, then what unifies any of the identity states at any scale?
That's a great question, Darth.
Are all the members of the set, referring to naturalism, are all the members unified simply by your mind? Conceptually, but not ontologically unified? I'm looking for ontological unification,
Yes,
not merely an abstract unification.
Darth, look at this guy called Danny who's saying you're just saying words, none of which actually mean anything. I invited them up,
I'll
Darth.
explain it to you.
Come up. I invited you, Daniel. Come up,
Come on
Daniel.
up, Danny.
I invited them up, yeah.
So to invoke a world without God is to speak nonsense, because there's nothing within your model that you know what? It's amazing how fearful these people are for somebody to mute them or kick them.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you going to do when you get drafted, Danny?
Exactly, Danny. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well. You're wasting my time. Welcome to my mute button. So whenever we invoke the world is concretely unified at all different scales or levels or categories by the mind and purpose of God. In other words, the mind of God is causally actualizing the unity of the world. It is not simply that the mind of God is conceptualizing the various states of unity.
And Darth, an abstract, causally a-feet object cannot be that, right? It has to be a concrete object that actualizes.
No, I'm not talking about a mere abstract unity. I'm talking about what concretely unifies. Like if you have a brother or a sister, then we say the two of you are siblings. That is not merely an abstract unification. What we have is the uniformity of nature through genetic diversity and reproduction produces two diverse outcomes that are unified from a common ontological origin, namely your parents. Okay? So the uniformity of nature, which is created and maintained by God, is producing the ongoing living human beings, your parents, who causally bring about your birth and your siblings' birth. So the two of you are ontologically unified, not merely abstractly unified. Okay? That's why people who are doppelgangers cannot claim to be brothers or sisters. You understand, Egyptian? About doppelgangers?
Yeah.
If the unity is not ontologically imposed, then anytime unity is invoked in the world between two or more states of affairs, then they're just cosmic doppelgangers. See, most of the atheists are afraid to tangle with this type of approach is because their slogans don't work for them. Okay? His slogans simply do not work. And that's all atheists have is sloganeering. Did Graham Oppy demonstrate the ontological actualization of a naturalistic world independent of God? No, he didn't.
He said there are books in my bookshelf.
Yeah, well, that's not an ontological grounding of a God-independent world.
But what if Darth, they say
He
that...
just takes the position, if I'm not mistaken, that his atheism is grounded, and I'm willing to be corrected if I'm not accurately representing Graham Oppy, is that he adopts naturalism because it's quote-unquote parsimonious.
This is one of his reasoning,
Yeah. But the point is, how is an explanation parsimonious if the explanation itself has no intelligibility to it from a metaphysical point of view?
Yeah.
From
there you go,
whence
Darth.
comes what actualizes the unity at any scale for naturalism to be considered real?
But what if Darth, they say that, we believe that there is a grounding and an ultimate frame of reference even under naturalism, right? They might say...
Why is that belief true?
Oh, yeah, they'll say because this being is the concrete actualizer for this unity and diversity and for rationality.
Being? You mean an agent?
Yeah, they might hold to like but that's like God, right? Like
yeah, exactly. Okay.
There is someone, Darth, that I once had a conversation with who claimed to be a cosmic psychist. Have you ever heard of that view, Darth?
A cosmic what?
A cosmic psychist.
You mean like a pantheist?
No, so cosmic psychism is the view that there is consciousness, like the universe is conscious, and it's like a very high level form of consciousness, and it's very, very close to God, but they say it's still a naturalistic worldview. Someone who holds to that, Darth.
Then you're holding. Look.
Yeah.
Then either this thing is considered to be ultimate or not ultimate, and if it's ultimate, it will either be reckoned to be an agent and intentional or not.
Yeah, they believe it's an agent and it's intentional.
Well, then how is that not God?
Oh, they'll say it's still natural, not supernatural. So they're gonna say it's
patently okay. What does that even mean?
yeah. I mean, it's weird. It's very yeah. It's I think it's gobbledygook. Yeah, it's yeah. You know someone who holds. You know this guy called Michio, right? The Japanese guy.
Hey, D Long. I welcome your attempt and your confidence to do so. But I've been doing this for 14 years. I think that you're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, so Darth, they cannot appeal to like this cosmic psychism type of view, right?
No, because first of all, it's a denial of the creator-creature distinction.
Yes, that's correct.
So then, what's he referring to is ultimate?
Yeah,
this consciousness. Right. Well.
Yeah, they'll say it's like a mind or a consciousness.
Okay, good. Then how is that differentiated from God?
They'll say that that's part of the. There's a part of the universe, right? That's physical. That's like consciousness.
Yeah, hey, D Long, don't try to taunt me because I'll block your account. I don't flee. Okay. I've been doing this for 14 years. I've been invited to interact with atheists with PhDs. I doubt you're going to have the intellectual and philosophical prowess that they did. You think I'm afraid of you? You're fooling yourself.
But you're absolutely that's what I actually said the same exact thing to this cosmic psychist. Yeah.
Okay, Ryan, welcome to my block list. I didn't run from Justin. I just simply drew a line in the sand that I wasn't going to.
Should I invite him up, Ryan? Okay, let me.
No, he's blocked because he's lying.
Blocked. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Bye, Jen. Now you're blocked for lying. Anyone who lied.
Jen was up here, Darth, with us.
Well, guess what? Now he's earned a blocked account. Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, these people get in there and they think that they have a near orgasmic experience by trying to lie and taunt me in the text. I don't mind if people respectfully and intelligently disagree, but if you're lying about me and it's clear to me that you're lying, then I'm done with you. Your account's blocked.
Yes, sir. We cannot allow these drive-bys.
Anachronist chemist, come on up and back up your statement that I'm a laughingstock. Come on up. If you
Darth, I just invited them up.
Don't come up, I'm going to block your account. Anachro chemist.
Anarcho chemist. I just invited you. This is not a
lie for people to come in here and self-stimulate themselves.
Yeah, we will not allow these snarky comments.
Yeah.
Oh, he just posted a comment, Darth, saying, I can't talk on mic today.
Good. I'm going to keep my promise. You're blocked.
Yep.
Bye.
There you go.
Then you shouldn't be making such grandiose statements.
Exactly.
I would rather not block people, but I'm sick and tired of people trolling in the chat.